Hey guys, how are you? Welcome to Moms, Moguls and Mayhem.
Hi.
We are so excited because we have one of my oldest friends on, Melinda Lindland. I've known Melinda since we were right out of college, first jobs out of school, and she is running things in the city right now. She's the managing director, North America for Spring Studios, which everyone knows is where Fashion Week is held. All the biggest events in the city are held.
She's badass.
She's badass. I mean, she really is. Like I use her as an example to my own daughters as to who to look up to and what to do. So she's going to be joining us in just a minute, and we're excited to have her on.
So excited. Can't wait to meet her.
Yay.
Yay.
Hey, girl.
How are you? Oh my God.
How's it
How
going?
convenient. Ritzy, get over here.
Are you working from home today?
I am.
Oh, how
How's
nice.
it
So
going?
nice.
Nice to meet you,
What's this
Melinda.
for? This
Nice to
for?
meet you too.
I'm so excited for this.
Likewise.
Courtney's
Good questions,
told
by
me
the way.
everything about you.
I've been raving about you.
Yes.
Oh, likewise.
I'm going to turn this volume up a little bit.
You can.
All right, that's better. That's better. So, oh my gosh, how are you real quick? A little catch up before we start.
Good. It's been like it's been forever. First of all, very good, very busy. Lots of time on the train. So,
Yeah. I know. So, I mean, are you in every day or are you just going to
most days. Yeah, most days. I mean, it's like definitely an in-person role because it's a facility. It's not just a team, right? So today I'm remote because I just have a bunch of paperwork and that gets done quickly at home. But other than that, yeah, it's been good though. Like I think I needed to get out of the house after 5 years post-pandemic.
I mean, right? It's so true. And the boys are getting so big. They look like they're thriving.
Yeah, Parker is like taller than I am, 5'7". So that's like, and he's 13. So hopefully that is an indicator, of some height ahead. And then Zachary's like 4'7". He's so cute.
He is so cute. Well, how old is Zach now? Like 9?
10. 10.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, Chase is 6'5".
I can't. I mean, come on. Like, it's unbelievable. How tall are the girls?
I mean, I'm the shortest in the family. Like Lindsay's probably 5'8", and so is Lauren.
That's me too.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I mean, how about Chase is going to college next year, and I'll just be
I
like,
can't. I can't. Like, I can't. I'm terrified of college. I'm gonna have to like sell my house. I'll be like, here we go. Take it back. Take it all back.
I know. Well, you know what? Like I was telling Lauren, I'm like, Melinda's the only woman I know who bought her own house in Greenwich. Like I tell my daughters that as an example of like, women power. You know what I'm
Oh my
saying?
God, seriously. And it was like single mom power too. I went to and I was like, I can actually get approved and do this. And I was like, then we're doing it. Although it's been sort of a harrowing thing because you then realize you're the only income that's supporting it. So like anything goes wrong, you're like,
Yeah. Oh my God. No, I know. I'm so proud of you, Melinda. Good.
Good. Yeah.
All right, good. So we'll start this up now, if that's all right.
Yeah, it's great.
Fix my hair. All right.
Good.
I'm excited for this.
All right. Well, hello, Melinda. We're so happy to have you today on Moms, Moguls, and Mayhem. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to give everyone a little bit of background on us. So we met when we were, 22, 23 in a bathroom?
Couldn't have been any longer than that. Yep.
Yeah. We met, Melinda, she was working with a friend of mine. I was at Gray Advertising. I mean, this is back in like the late 90s, mid 90s. How scary. And we became instant friends.
Instant friends. Like, and it was the friend we had in common knew was like, you guys will immediately, and it was the bathroom at 420 Lexington Avenue where we were I was working at Briard and I was part of J. Walter Thompson. Yeah, exactly when we met. And it was like, we started having a bagel with, lettuce, tomato, and onion across the street every day after that.
I'm sorry. I had that yesterday. Okay. I did. How funny at that diner, right? Oh
yeah, at the diner. Yes. And you would have a black coffee, like a hot coffee black. I was like, what? Anyway.
The good old days.
The good old days. Exactly. We've all evolved.
Free kids.
Yeah.
So, well, you know what? I mean, obviously time has definitely gone quickly for us as we're now 50-ish.
Oh my God. Can't believe. Yeah.
I know, it's so crazy. But you know what? When I think about like who fits the title of this podcast, no one comes to mind more than you have. I have to be honest. You are the most successful woman I know. I got to be honest with you. You're the most successful at home, at work. and I just brag about you to everyone. So I just want to find out.
Doing it all, girl.
You're doing it all.
Trying, but thank you. I'm very glad that that is how the world receives me. That makes me feel very good.
No, 100%. But you've always been the hardest worker, because I remember in those early days when our mutual friend would be packing up at 5:30. You were there until 10 or 11 at night, every night.
Every time. I figured out that formula quickly, that you remember many of our friends were investment bankers starting out, and their salaries were like twice what ours were. But in advertising, if you volunteered to stay late, you made time and a half, and they paid for your dinner and your car service home. And I was like, where do I sign? So I just did as many of those like sort of extra after hour things as I could. And that was the jump start, you know?
Well, I mean, it definitely worked out for you. I mean, what do you think fueled that drive from such a young age at 22? I mean, I know you went to Notre Dame, so you've always been like super competitive and smart, but what do you attribute it to?
That Notre Dame experience, and possibly going back further to high school, but I think really Notre Dame was the thing that made the competitive thing come alive. And that's probably because I was a classical ballet dancer. My friends were all in sports or doing other activities, cheerleading, etc. So I was already kind of an outlier. My dance wasn't in my high school. It was off in another town. And so I was a little bit of an anomaly, right? Like people knew that I had this thing, but they didn't quite understand it. And I got to Notre Dame, and it wasn't the perfect choice of school because there was no dance program. So my dance was off campus. So I was this kind of unrelatable ballerina to my peers who they just didn't take me that seriously. Like I ended up marrying my crush from my college years, who was like lead singer of a band. So I'm like the ballerina chasing the guy in the band, not being taken very seriously, right? But academically, meaning like, and I knew I was smart. I knew I was good. But as soon as we got started and we were in New York City, and the yardstick was sort of different. It was like, you're actually measured on the strength of your achievement and your drive and how competent and professional and mature and all those things. I was able to kind of pull ahead a little bit because I wasn't, I was able to finally be in the same measurement pool as all these like athletes and, econ majors and engineers and whatever. Anyway, so it just worked out quite well. And it got me very excited to work hard.
Yeah. And you did from day one.
From day one. And I think also because I felt like I had something to prove. Because again, like once we graduated, all those friends we graduated with went right into fancier sounding jobs.
Yeah.
So I was very keen to kind of like catch up however I could. And it was probably a little slow and stealthy at first, but then we got there.
You got there. I mean, all those guys though, I mean, they work 24 hours a day.
Oh, they did. Oh, they did. Yeah, yeah. And I remember one of the points of appeal of the job I ended up accepting, the first advertising job, which you might remember the story. I had an internship that turned to an offer during my senior year, but I kept not getting the employment letter. So I called them relentlessly that last couple weeks of college to be like, everybody else has their like, Arthur Anderson offer letters in hand and their stock options and their whatever. And I just was trying to get this internship company to flip me a letter. And they ended up leaving me a voicemail uncomfortably that played on my answering machine to date myself to my whole room of friends saying, we're so sorry, but we ended up filling that role with someone internally. So I went home from college without a job. And that was, I think, another one of the things where I was like, hold my beer. Like I am, I got to solve this and quick, And the one that ended up giving me the offer, the account I was going to be working on was Morgan Stanley, which is where all those guys were working, right? So it was like a perfect thing that I'm like, well, I'm on the advertising campaign,
That's right. That's right. I know. See?
Yeah.
So question, Laura.
Well, you're an inspiration. I mean, your story is incredible. You're doing it all.
Trying.
And, as women, I think we struggle so much with the idea of, choosing between being a great mom and being super successful. How have you learned to navigate this, as far as really doing both and doing both so well?
Yeah. Interestingly, I got much better at my job when I became a mom. And I didn't anticipate that it would be, I sort of anticipated the reverse, that it would be, I'd have to take a little bit of a step back. But what was true for me, and I've learned as an adult that I have like ADHD that I didn't know as a younger person, but a lot of that sort of superpower you get with that type of a brain means that you have to like understand that you're not going to have the same regulated productivity that other people do. So you have these periods of like very intense productivity that you lean into, and then accept the fact that when your brain is just off that day, like, take a break because it's going to come back online. It'll be fine. But some of that sort of dysregulation as a younger person in particular, and Courtney, this is especially when you and I were all hanging out, whatever, it would sometimes bring like outsized reactions for me to situations at work, or I might just have too much time, too much extra brain space thinking about what, Jenny and Johnny by the copy machine were actually saying or whatever, and kind of getting into the office swirl.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the thing that was so wonderful about becoming a mom is that you don't have any brain space left for that. So like if that's the thing that's kind of holding you back a little bit in your professional development, is like worrying about what the person on the other side of the cubicle wall is doing, you don't have time for that. You've got to get home to see your kids, and you overnight become more mature because you're now responsible for this other person. So
Yeah.
that was remarkable, and I think that leveled things for me in a way that I didn't quite expect. Comes with it, as you'd expect. Then you have to calibrate differently how you think about the free time that you do have, or if there are office outings or there are evening things, like which of those do you participate in, and then trying to be fully present as opposed to like the jerk kind of constantly on your phone looking to see what the nannies just texted you if you do go to those things. But yeah, I'd say in general, it made me into a better professional. And then as time's gone on, it got a little more complicated as the kids got older, because
Mhm.
that first chunk of like, call it 5 years, you've got a lot of outside help. You've got parents at the ready, you've got nannies, you've got, like there's a lot of comprehensive coverage. Your laundry suddenly being done by others for the first time in the event that you are like I was. I had to use a nanny to be able to get my job done. Then when the kids kind of outgrow that and you have to revert back to being the one to doing the driving and doing some of those other things, that's a little bit of a second batch of adjustment, because while
Yeah.
they're more self-sufficient to get themselves dressed and do all those kinds of things, now their scheduling interferes with your scheduling, and like how you accommodate your calls without a 12-year-old popping in to be like, can you take me to Johnny's? So it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit of that, right? Yeah.
100%.
No, and that actually that segues into the next question as far as what were some of the hardest moments of juggling. And I can definitely relate as far as as you're saying, as the kids get older,
It's
you're
hard.
juggling the extracurriculars, the sports. It's what do they say, bigger kids, bigger
Yeah,
problems.
bigger
So
kids, bigger problems. Yeah.
and that's
Oh, good. Can't wait.
No,
no,
you
no.
know what? Like it gets harder in some ways, but then it gets easier in other ways.
Yes, when
Yeah.
you're
Now,
self-sufficient
exactly. Well, you know what? I stepped back from Bella, like when Lindsay was going into her junior year of high school, and then it was like junior, freshman,
Yeah.
sixth grade, only because I felt like they needed me
Yeah.
more at that time. I don't know
Yes.
why,
Yeah.
but I just felt like I need to be around. Who knows what they're doing when I'm not home. So
Correct. Yeah, no,
now,
exactly. The struggle is real for sure on that, I would say. And I think, to think about what are some of the bigger juggles, and sort of things that have come up. So I mean, it's impossible to talk about parenthood without addressing the pandemic, right? So in 2020, the pandemic came along, and I was also working in one of the industries most impacted by the pandemic. So I was running New York for Freeman, and Freeman is the large company that puts on things like the New York International Auto Show and CES
yeah.
and some of these very large expeditions. They had two arms. They had the company that did the more general contracting, so those huge shows, and then they had an agency arm, and I was running that for them in New York. And it was the biggest role I'd ever had. I really was fortunate to sit across a US based team, but then to run a region as well, and to be on a succession plan to be the next in line to be the overall global head of growth. So excited about that. Then swoop comes in the pandemic and takes
Yeah.
away, we went from being a $2.3 billion company to a $225 million company in like 2 months' time. So
Wow.
90% washed away. And that was such a severe thing to go through, because not only was I going through the pandemic in a field that was dramatically impacted, like not like marginally, like dramatically impacted. It was completely unearthed. And then I was also a single parent. I was the only single parent on the executive team and the only
Ah,
single mom on the executive team. So I had school-age children now needing to be homeschooled because of
Oh,
they weren't going to the building anymore. And I had one of the most senior roles, and I'm the only one that's a mom. It was like just this wild cocktail of circumstances. And then you think of the fact that most people had their partner to kind of more like lean on during that time. And, like some people actually benefited, right? They were in fields not very dramatically impacted and they got to suddenly work at home for 2 years. And
Yeah.
that threw a wrench into their perfectly harmonious marriage or whatever the thing was. But in my case, I was still adjusting to being single. So it was like this weird thing where like you couldn't really date. You're kind of stuck at home. Now I'm home. Now I'm home taking care of the kids. Fortunately, their dad does live in town and was a 50, he's a 50-50 parent, but it still is that what is happening? And I'll never forget in the summer of that year, I think it was 20, later in 20, we had all had to then go through this pace of like deciding who on our teams to cut and who to furlough and what we were going to do to try to sustain the business so that when the business came roaring back, we were all we had something to come back to. So eventually we got to the point there was no one left to cut and it was all of us. We all had to take turns on furlough, which I was really hoping wouldn't be the case because I had just bought my house like 6 months earlier. So I had taken my cushion, put it
Yeah.
into this house, and it was based on my income level and all these other things. And all of a sudden you're like, wait, there goes the bonus. And so that entire year was the biggest challenge as a mom, as a professional, and then just having to dig really deep and adult with the biggest capital A ever to get through it, like in one piece. And like so that summer, the same week I learned that I was officially in the schedule for furlough, I ended up having my first ever official skin cancer. So I had 22 stitches cut into my forehead and a giant black eye as a result.
Oh my God.
And I was also dumped that same week. And I was like,
Oh,
but to survive all of it, you get to the other side and you're like, well, there's not much that we can't figure out then, so.
I mean, how inspiring is that though?
but you're so as women, I mean,
Come
you're
on.
saying this with a smile on your face.
Yeah.
You're so resilient.
Yeah.
So incredibly
And
resilient.
happy. And I don't know anyone who has more
extraordinary.
girlfriends. Like,
Yeah.
no, but it's true though, like that speaks to
It's a
me.
village.
I mean, she's at these parties she's like my 300 best friends. I'm like, my God. Right, but it's good though, Melinda.
Well, but that's why, like when my 50th rolled around, which was a year and almost 2 years ago now, coming January, I threw myself a party because I was very much like I had not thrown a party in this house. I wanted to take advantage of it. I was so proud of it, but as soon as I had moved in and done all this lovely work to it, then all that pandemic stuff came along, and I was more kind of gripped with fear that I wouldn't be able to hold on to the house. So celebrating it wasn't quite the right thing. And then so I took a few days off of work. I cooked like a crazy person, and I just threw this little party and was like, at least I had some space for the local gals all came through. I didn't try to throw the net very far, obviously, but it was a lot of fun. And my sister made a funny comment because she was here for it. And I don't pick up, you would have picked up on this. I didn't pick up on it because I'm so conditioned into it. She's like, it's a really nice group of women. She's like, y'all do squeal a lot. Like I was like, oh my God, how are you? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's very sorority energy, so, but they're wonderful.
Kara.
Yeah, Kara is very funny. She's like, it's so smart. And she's got this very dry intellectual wit. So she'll observe these things that you don't even think. And then, so anyway.
She's super smart as well. Very smart.
Yeah.
Very ladies in that house.
It's amazing, it's amazing being around other women that you can celebrate. It's like you feed off each other's energy, right? I mean, it's
and I'd say that circle of women in particular, the ones that are local, a difference for us. And Court, I remember when you and I were both in sales, and the thing that we struggled the most with when we were early days in sales is we were like nobody. Like trying to get a meeting with somebody senior enough to make a decision was impossible. They were like, who are you and your 14 friends and what, So what's nice as you go further and you just get older is that the network of people that become your friends and neighbors, they actually have jobs that relate to what you're doing. So even through my son being very active in sports, the parents that I've met and befriended through that have had some of the most professional impact on me, just becoming role models and mentors, and in some cases like great, points of introducing me to people and things along those lines. So that's been another sort of like huge positive, and that extended group of friends,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it was very tough starting out, but you know what? As Bella went on, I definitely felt, okay, it's getting easier. They're taking my calls, thank God,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my God, some of your stories were so funny though about meetings that you were able to get and how you got them and just the, you had such an irreverence that was so admirable. Like you would get people on the phone and they would be your best friend by the end of the phone call. And I was like, how did you have the balls to say that to them? But you're like, nah, whatever, I got the meeting.
I know. Well, I didn't care. I was
You
like,
didn't.
I
You were so
literally,
good.
I don't care. I
You were
was like,
so, but it was like, it was a true fearlessness. And that took me much longer to learn. But as I've gotten a lot older, I think a big style piece is that I'm like wildly direct and heavily unfiltered. It's a remarkable thing that we're however many minutes in, I haven't dropped an F-bomb yet. Like, I can
good, I'm
hate it
happy.
when I need to, but it is one of those things that like that came out a lot later. But
Mhm.
I think I'm much more authentic when I'm not trying to be like, all refined.
Of course. I mean, let's just be our true self.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, let's be
it's
honest.
okay to drop an F-bomb, Melinda. Just
Oh,
just drop
good.
it. It's sort of like praying, Just drop that F-bomb
Oh my
whenever
gosh,
you
it's
feel
not
like you
right.
have to. It's
I
okay.
know. So
Oh,
good.
that
I
is so
love it.
good.
I love it.
I think that's perfect. Next.
Yes, so basically, I mean, what
We've answered all of our questions.
I
So ladies,
know.
Oh, easy.
I know. What message do you hope your kids take away from them watching you, how you're building this, successful career, this life?
such a strong mom.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah, I think like, well, there's probably, there's probably the message they're actually taking, and then there's the one that I'm hoping that they're taking. Those code out different things. I think there's the first piece of it is how I want them to understand like love and forgiveness. My ex-husband fell in love with his partner while we were married, and that was a huge blindsiding thing in our relationship and marriage. And at the time that it happened, it was just so shocking. It was so not who we were or who I felt we were as a family and as a couple. And it felt scandalous. It felt like, that I was in this situation that was impossible to hide from publicly because, they were at the club we had belonged to together and things like that. So I had an option to operate with anger and hate, or that kind of energy, or to get to a point of deciding that we're still a family and being that example for my kids and to show them that the 18 years that I was with their dad, where he was a superlative partner and husband, does not all get erased because he ran into this incredibly complex chapter of his life where somebody stepped into his path that he didn't necessarily go looking for, that was an kind of impossible draw for him. So when I was able to deal with some of that and recognize some of that, and also importantly when he became recognizable again to me as a person, because for sure to justify some of the split needed to kind of villainize me a bit, and that's kind of that process. It's very natural in both directions. Like we both had to kind of be mad and nasty a little bit in our and how we were thinking about each other. But when he was so sincere, one of the days, and just very poignantly apologized. And he was here at my home that I had managed to get on my own, and it reflected a lot of the combined dreams that we had had as a couple, but I had pursued them anyway, just because I didn't want our split to be a reason I couldn't, keep doing these things. And
That's right.
and when we were here, and he was so intent about saying, no matter what came up in how our marriage had changed, you didn't deserve what I did. And he was so I was so clear that it was a very real statement, that from that point forward I was able to see him almost like a brother, like almost more maybe like a brother-in-law type of a thing. It's hard to explain exactly the dynamic, but we will absolutely say we love each other every time we see each other. That we went on a vacation together, the five of us. We really have this funny modern family. And so I think that's a big part of the answer to your question. Like, I want the children to understand that, spitefulness and living with anger, it doesn't serve anybody, and like actually forgiveness is for you. It's not really for the other person. It's so that you can move on. So that's a big piece of it. Took a lot of emotional maturity. And it also means that sometimes people around you don't quite understand it. Like I'm more okay with my ex-husband than in some cases people around, but that's my choice. Like that's how I've chosen to live with it. And then as a professional, because they're watching this unique model of mom who has a big career, but they're boys, and their
Mhm.
dad's a big career too, and he has a very sort of masculine energy. I'm trying to make sure that they understand. I've brought them to my office a number of times, and I've introduced them to my team, and I've let them understand like mom is the boss. Like I am actually the big boss in our location, and I've worked really hard to get here. And with my son who's 13, he's a little bit more prone to being unruly with the female teachers versus the male teachers at his school. And I've been very clear that I was like, I need you to understand as a female executive, if there is any whiff of that type of attitude that comes from a young rising male professional on my team, they're benched. Like
Yeah.
there is zero tolerance. There is zero appetite to help them develop or advance or to mentor them. So you need to learn that now, that you need to give even more courtesy or at least the same amount of courtesy to your female coaches, advisors, teachers, professors, fellow parents, all of it. And it's going to be a slow boil for them to really understand that because there are inherent things that they learn as little boys. Like don't cry like a girl, don't they? So they like learn certain codes of weakness that are associated with women. So undoing that can be tricky. But yeah, I do want them to understand that they can do anything they put their minds to, and that women executives are a real thing and a real part of who they're going to grow into in their careers.
I love that. I love that.
I mean,
And I
what a
think
good
it's,
answer.
oh my
I
gosh,
know. I'm like
Linda,
crying and stuff out my glasses.
I'm trying not to cry. I don't have waterproof mascara on. Look like a freaking mess if I start to just bawl. But you really have just, gosh, come so far and been through so much, but have come out on the other side. Just, so, just you've done it. Like you
I
did
mean,
it. Success.
it's like
Yeah,
you
it's like
did it.
you
Like,
did this.
no one
Yeah.
does it like that.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes.
Trying. No, it's good. It's fine. I do feel very fortunate. And like, I think that I do. I was on a conversation the other day and it was all about confidence. It was interesting. Somebody said something about, what's the thing that gives people the ability to finally once and for all, not, not feel like an imposter in different situations, this whole kind of imposter syndrome situation. And I think it's relevant for the conversation about being a mom, a mogul, any of these things. Identify as an imposter and then you don't ever have to worry about it. Like recognize that like your greatest asset is probably that you don't fit in, and that's why you're invited to a party, because you add something fun and fabulous to it. That's why you stand out at an executive board table, because you don't think like every other person around the table, et cetera. So the more that you kind of flip that on its head and see it as a positive, that like the gates open. So if that's a little thing we can leave anybody with.
You took what, life threw at you and you just were like, you know what? I'm gonna
What else you got?
just gonna do this. I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna come out on the other side stronger and,
Better.
better, exactly. Resilient and just
So my question is, Malin, what advice would you offer just say like our younger selves? You know what I'm saying?
Oh God, Jesus.
Well, you know what? Who have big goals, but are unsure where to start. Like I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of women start and then stop.
yes.
It's like, how do you just keep it going and rise as you have risen
Yeah.
to the absolute top?
Yeah. Okay. So it's a combination. There's what we would say to our younger selves, and then there's also the young people who actually get in front of me today, or sort of two different things. First of all, for me, for our younger selves, we had a ton of grit. And more so arguably than the rising talent that's just out of school now. They've had there's a mindset shift. It's a little bit cultural. It's a generational thing, right? We had so much grit. We were like, moving into like New York City before we really had the money to be there. And we just kind of went for it. We were fearless, like whatever. And I actually love that. Like I probably would have been more conservative with like starting to save money earlier, because here I am in my mid 50s, like scrambling to think about what's ahead. So I would have
Are we?
probably like a little more fiscally responsible and maybe maybe stayed at home for 6 months longer just to squirrel away some money or something
No, we
longer.
had fun. And I
We
was
did
with
though,
you.
right? And like and
I was with you when you bought your first beaver. I bought
yeah.
it at like 24.
And I drove it off the lot and I thought there was something wrong with it because it had like the M package on it. It was so loud. My ex is like, don't tell anyone that story. I was like, no, we should tell everyone that story. It's fantastic. Anyway, but no, exactly. So I think like I wouldn't change a ton. I would probably be more, I think the social stuff is where I felt the most immature, that I would get spun out about things that maybe just weren't as important. Like I think, for instance, I didn't play, as we've talked about, I didn't play team sports. So I think that one of the benefits that our kids have of playing team sports is that they learn a different social camaraderie and there's a different social toughness that they are able to gain by just even like ranking on each other a little bit on the bus or any of those types of things. So like my skin was so thin in my younger years, and that would become a distraction for me. Like if I was upset about something, I mean, I had been Court, you remember I had this like terrible breakup when I was in my, early 20s. And that really was a big distraction for me. Whereas as an older person, I have a lot more ability to like contextualize things, compartmentalize things,
Exactly.
understanding the ADHD part where it's like, that's just part of how my brain works, is that it can be, I can have outsized reactions to things, et cetera. So like that, being a little, having more grace with myself through that's probably what I would have said to my young self. So accept your flaws. They're probably part of your strength on some level, as long as they're not, a derailer entirely. And then as I think with the young people that are coming through now, there is a surprising amount of um, not being as prepared as I would have expected when I see resumes, when I see some of these kinds of like, the first impressions that they're trying to make on us, whether it's an email that they've sent to, based on, oh, somebody said I should talk to you, whatever. I've seen like a handful of, for instance, recently, page and a half long resumes for someone who's 18. And it's like,
Oh, wow.
it is like such a basic single page, make it
Yeah,
good, no spelling mistakes, no typos, no this, no that, whatever. So like that's basic. Those are just the basic table stakes of putting your hat in the ring.
of
And with
course.
all of the technology enablement that like they've got it easier and they're still not doing the work to get it exactly right.
Yeah,
That sort of laziness is something I think is going to be important for people to recognize, that especially because we had to have so much grit coming up. We
yeah,
have zero tolerance for laziness when we're looking at job applicants, like none. Like don't send me anything that doesn't have all the things, like the single page. I don't need to care about, I don't want your babysitting jobs on there. I don't like, you know what I mean? Like put the crap I care about. And
exactly.
and like take 5 minutes and buy a format on Etsy, for Pete's sake, to like make it look good. Do you know, it's like all these like little things that you can do to give yourself a competitive advantage. If someone shows up and they send me something and they haven't taken the time to just learn for themselves through dear Google, like what I can do to stand out as a candidate, it goes right in the bin. I don't even try to give them any feedback. So
Yep.
that's one of those things I think that's critical. That's one piece. And then the second piece is if a family member or a friend, like an adult, is saying, oh, meet Courtney. Courtney has this publishing background. Maybe she'd be willing to give you some advice. Da, 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 da. You don't go into that meeting cold. You go into that meeting recognizing how like wildly valuable that person's time is, and you prepare and you do the homework. That you don't ask them to get you smart on their category. You go in having already made yourself smart on their category so they can make you smarter. Like
Exactly.
I have people talking to me about advertising and they're like, well, I think I want to be like in sales. And I'm like, what do you know about advertising sales? Well, could you help? I am not here to be your, what is advertising sales 101? Like you need to have done that work before you come and talk to me. So
Wow.
I think it's just that preparedness. And then if someone shows up and they've done those things, I am wildly generous with what I will try to get done for them. I just hired somebody that knocked me over with first impressions.
Oh,
And
great.
he was able to finally join my team on a full-time basis. Could not be any more proud or pleased of the level of professionalism every single day that he shows. But what a standout that is versus who else is out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so true. See, all this is such great advice. I mean, it really is.
Absolutely. And I think what
sorry,
we
go ahead.
all, no, I admire, just the unrelenting drive that you have. I mean, I think as founders, all three of us, we have in common this, drive, that no matter what, it's like you see the end game, you see, no matter how difficult it is. And, our children see that, which I'm proud of. I mean, I'm sure your boys, they say, Mom has overcome all these obstacles and look at what she has brought to fruition. So that's really, truly extraordinary, and inspiring.
It really
Well,
is.
it's either that they're having that reaction, maybe somewhere internally, or they're complaining because I'm not willing to go pick them up at 10:30 on a Friday night.
Well, me
Yeah,
neither,
can't complain,
Melinda.
but
I'm in bed at 9:30.
Yeah, exactly. Same, same. I'm like, you don't look at all of these lovely things I just made happen for you, but instead you're fixated on the carpool I won't complete.
Oh my gosh, I know
So
that.
it goes.
Well, now Chase is driving as of last week, so literally I'm done with that.
Oh, God bless. God bless. I know it's weird. Like my son who plays basketball, it's like, 20 minutes away and it's however many nights a week and it's done at like 9:15. I'm like, seriously?
oh,
Yeah. No, exactly. So you
those
know
late
what?
night.
My last question, Malin, is I know you're at your dream job. I mean, really anyone's dream job at this point, but what's next for you? Like, do you have a next step? I mean, you
Like new
always
dreams.
seem to be getting
Doing
bigger and
something
better.
different. I mean, this is the first official P&L, interestingly, that I've run. So I have always had these very large growth remits in terms of like head of growth globally, head of growth regionally or US or whatever. So this is the first time that I've been able to work in a situation where I have influence over all the profit, loss, all of it. I'm loving that, and I'm loving seeing how that works with my brain. And I think that we have great growth potential even in our market ahead of us. So it's taking and realizing the things in a short-term basis. I just delivered my business plan to my team. What today is Wednesday, on Monday, 89-page business plan. God bless all of them for sitting through that. But that's how I have to put a plan together to run a business. I have to like really think over all aspects of it, the strengths, the weaknesses, what are we going to do about all those things. So the short term, what's next is really just being excited to roll that plan out and test the theories, like see, we're making some bets in that. Are they the right bets? Is it going to be the correct direction for the company? If not, let's go in another direction, those types of things. And then I think on a longer term basis, like I've always done, I've done my best work. And this is something that someone asked me this. They said, what did you learn about yourself when you got to this new role? Because more typically I've been in like quite corporate structures and things along those lines. I learned when I got into this role that in order for me to do my best work, I need to be the one in charge.
Mhm.
So more typically I've been like a second in command or like a something like that. And a lot of my work has been evaluated and critiqued by broader committees. And then it ends up getting quite watered down or what I would sometimes call neutered before you're able to do much to it or with it. And in this particular role, I have like a lot of autonomy. I can make the decisions, I can make the mistakes, I continue, whatever. So I think what I'd love the opportunity to do is like continue to get the experience from that autonomy, but then when the time is right to be back into a structure and that happens within my own company, we diversify and expand and things like that. But where there is more of that expectation where you're working in combination with people because you can't do too much of one or the other. Like I'm better as an autonomous leader because my work was critiqued for so many years, but I wouldn't want to be this for the rest of my life. I want people to test my thinking. I want there to be some of that, having to prove yourself before you go forward and do a plan and things like that. So that I think it's like a lovely avenue for now. But as I continue my growth in this company, like it's required when you get more to like a board level, for instance, at Spring, you need that heavy interaction. So all good things ahead. But yeah, that's I think where the nature of adventure, I hope, is up ahead for me.
Yeah. Well, my gosh, Malin, thank you so much. I mean, you really have even educated me, and I've known you for 25 years now. Even longer, 28 years. And I feel like, wow, I mean, you really have just grown so much in the past 25 years. And I'm so proud of you. And I'm proud to call you my friend. And I'm proud to tell my daughters that
Yeah.
you are a role model that they
Yes.
should really aspire to be like.
We should spend some time together, I think. They should come and see the building this summer,
Oh, Melinda, they would love that.
right? I think
Absolutely.
they would.
Yeah,
I think
me
they should.
I would
too.
love to see it. I really
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such an interesting place. In fact, like this Friday, there's a gala for, in fact, the architect who designed the building. And even that is like one of these things, like it's such a small world where, you know, my sister, as it turns out, has like friends who are going to be at that very gala. Like it's just this interesting ecosystem of fascinating programs, fascinating people to come in and use it for all the different reasons. And, you know,
That's so awesome. You know, well, I mean, I was there a bunch back in the day because of Fashion Week.
I bet you were. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And I
mean,
had never, before my interview, I had never been. Isn't that wild?
wow.
I like my boss was like, you know, he's a challenge. Ciao, Melinda. Certainly you've been in the building before. And I was like, is this bad? Is it a bad thing for me to say no? Like, I've never been, you know, but that was job one. I looked at it and I was like, well, if I've been in experiential marketing for 30 years and I've never been here before, then that's an indicator. That's the first thing we need to do is just get it on people's radar that it's now more available than it was when it was so bought out for Fashion Week. And now it has some extra capacity. So
You know what? I had no idea about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I only think Fashion Week. So
exactly.
it's expanding and you can have all different events there. I would
Yeah.
love to talk
Oh, I would love to talk to
about
you about,
future things.
yes. And my
Yes, see, come through. We'll do lunch. It's great. It's wonderful. All the things. Got this
We're-
restaurant right down the hall, you know.
They're
Do it.
way too long. You have to do it, my friend.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so thrilled to spend some time with you guys today. What an honor.
So nice to meet you. And no, it was an honor. So much fun. And you are an inspiration.
You are my friend.
And thank you for paving the way for these, you know, young girls, women who, you know, are like, oh, I don't know if I could do this. You're like,
I
yes,
can.
hell
Yeah.
yes, you can.
Yeah, you can.
You can.
Absolutely. And you can come back whenever you want to. I mean, we, you know, moms can take a break and go back and whatever. There's always a way in.
That's right. That's right.
I love that. It's true.
All right. Well, have a great day at work and being a mom and
And a mogul.
and a mogul.
Mogul.
And we'll do lunch very soon. I promise.
Yes, I can't wait. Would love to see you both.
Love you, my friend.
Thank you. Have a great day. Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Bye.